each day as a Christian person. We walk around. God's given us the gift of eternal life, and yet we live as if we have no hope. And so today, there's 4 questions I want to ask you. Now, I'll start with the word who. The first is, who can be against us? The second is, who can accuse us? The third is, who can condemn us? And then lastly and finally, who can separate us? We have a lot of challenges before us. We have a lot of challenges that we've come through. We've seen God do a lot of great things here. And I am, and when people ask, as they do when the church is growing, others do, they'll say, well, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? Because everybody wants an easy, secret, just add water fix to make a church grow. And I said, man, we've done a lot of suffering for a while. We've done a lot of wondering, failing, getting up, brushing ourselves off, only to fail again, to brush ourselves off again, to continue doing and seeking and searching what God's plan for us as a church, we as His people, what His plan is for us. And we're still seeking now. It doesn't mean because you get to a certain number of people, or because you baptize a certain number of people, or you see a certain number of people come to your meetings on Wednesday night, Sunday morning, whatever it may be, there is not a cutoff point for God where He says, okay, this is good enough. You don't have to do anything else. It's good. I'm gonna let the church down the street take care of it from here on. You guys, stop what you're doing. You're good here. We are continuously seeking God's will in our life. And if we're seeking His will in our life, then together as a body, we're seeking what He wants for us. And it's pretty cool to see the teenagers sitting up here, because, I am envious in many ways of you guys, because you have so much ahead of you. And I'm terrified for you at the same time, because I know you have so much ahead of you. And there's so many things that are going to pull you in so many different directions, and pull you in ways that I'm terrified to see you pull. But when we ask this question, who can be against us? Some of you guys may not have ever heard, but my football team when I was in high school was terrible. No, I mean, we were really bad. From my freshman year till my senior year, that's 4 years, we won one football game. But you know what? I kept going to practice. And we'd lose every game that year. Football season would come back around. August 2-a-days would come around. And I'd go to practice. With the hope that we're going to win a game this year. I didn't care if we won every game. I just wanted to win a game. Thankfully, God is a merciful God. A school about 8 miles down the road started a football program. And they were terrible. They were worse than we were. And we beat them. The last game, my senior year, we won a game. 6-0. We couldn't kick a field goal or score an extra point. But we scored a touchdown somehow. Accidentally, we scored. And we won a football game. And for 4 years, it made suffering through practices, it made it all worthwhile. I mean, because I could live at that point and really believe that if God's for me, who can be against me? And we can live that way. It seems like everything in life is going to beat us down. There's going to be no hope in front of us, but there's something that God keeps putting in us that we say, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. And the funny thing was, this morning, I don't know how many of you, but Michael Shoemaker had put on Facebook, he said, it seems like every way I go, the devil's always right there. And that's the way life is. It seems like every way we go, somebody's against us, somebody's telling us we can't do it, somebody's telling us, whatever. Something negative to keep us beaten down. And as a teenager, it's even tougher because it seems like everybody's saying, well, you can't do that. You can try, but you just can't do that. Or you seem to hear the word no a lot. No, you can't. No, don't do, no, you can't. No, quit. No. I heard it 1,000 times growing up. But I'm reminded every time I go back to Romans, and I don't know why God wanted me here this morning, but I'm reminded, if He's for me, who can be against me? When 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we're meeting every Sunday with the church board, just praying that we don't even know how we're going to survive. We don't have enough money to pay the bills, but somehow the lights would stay on. We didn't have, just every week we'd get just enough money to keep things going. And I told the men Wednesday night out there, they were kind of down because there was only 9 of us out there. I said, guys, there was Sunday nights at church, we didn't have this many people. There were Wednesday nights, we didn't have 9 people total at church. So I was still pretty pumped to have 9 grown men in one room meeting together. But still pretty awesome. So if God is for us, who can be against us? Go down a list. Figure out who's bigger, stronger, or mightier than God. And your answer each time is going to be no one. Nope, he's not. Nope, she's not. You can't even use the old, my dad's bigger than your dad on that one. My dad can beat up your dad. I know none of you have ever said that, but I've heard that said. As long as your dad is God, hey, you're telling the truth. But as long as you're depending on some earthly being, then you're setting your sights too low. So who can be against us? The answer is no one. But we have to live every day as if that's the truth, as if that's really what's guiding us every day in our life. And, as I told the church over in Western Road just a little while ago, there's always going to be those naysayers. There's always going to be those people that come by and say, they're wasting their time. They're wasting their time in that community. They're wasting their time with those people. When Jesus called all of the sinners in, and Matthew said, hey, we're having a party at our house, Jesus. You want to come over? Jesus didn't say, well, is there non-alcoholic beverages there? He just said, all right, Matthew, I'll be there. Matthew was just called to be a disciple. He didn't know God has a standard of living that He wants me to adhere to. He was just like, yeah, man, this dude's cool. I'm going to invite him over and meet all my friends. I want him to hang out. There's something about this guy that I want him to be around my friends, and I want him to meet him. So who can be against us? The religious leaders can be against us, but they're still not bigger than God. All of those people that you're going to meet at school, they're going to be against you. And they're going to tell you things that you can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're from the wrong neighborhood. You're from wherever. And I can look at the adults, and some of you grew up hearing that. Some of you are still being shaped today because of being told those things when you were growing up. Well, I got a secret for you today. No one can be against you. Because whatever it is, God's bigger than that. It may not. I hope that's not a secret. But if it's been a secret, I'm glad you got to hear it this morning. But if no one can be against us, then who can accuse us? In verse 33, who shall bring a charge against God's elect? It's God who justifies. If God saves you, if God chose you as His, someone's not going to come along and say, oh, no, you're not. See, the devil's going to tell you, you failed. You're no longer on God's team. You're a loser. No longer, there's no hope anymore. You're a loser. Just give up. Stop going to church. Stop meeting with those people. Don't be hanging around with them anymore. You're a loser. You messed up. And he'll tell you that long enough and you'll start believing it. And then you have no hope. See, that's our responsibility, church, is to bring hope to the hopeless. To tell them, hey, Jesus does love you. Jesus loves you where you're at. Let me tell you a story about a guy named Jesus and a guy named Matthew. Jesus cared enough, he went and sat with them, and when all the preachers in the community walked by, they peeked in the door and said, what's he doing eating with scum like that? What's he doing hanging out with them? And Jesus just happened to hear what they said, and he said, well, let me tell you why Jesus was eating with scum like this. Because I didn't come to save the righteous. I didn't come to hang out with the preachers in the community. I didn't come to hang out with the religious leaders. I came for those that knew they were sinners and needed help. People that aren't sick don't go to the doctor. I can promise you I don't at $50 a pop. I'm going to be sick before I go to the doctor because I have to work hard for that $50 and I just don't want to give it to the doctor and say, well, hey man, maybe this will give you a half a tank for your Mercedes when you're driving home today. I'd rather just keep it in my pocket and put it in my Chevy pickup and help me get back and forth to work. So who can accuse us? If no one can be against us, then who can accuse us? Guys, this should be one of the easiest tests you ever take in your life. If no one can be against us, then no one can accuse us. Can y'all say that? No one? No. See, I'm telling you because I seen you last week. I know you can stay here until 12:30, 1 o'clock. I seen y'all do it last week. So if you don't get this, if you don't figure this out real quick, we can keep saying no one till 12:45 till I know you figured this out. Y'all got it? Brother Jay's got it. No one. There you go. So who can be against us? Who can accuse us? See, you guys are fast learners this morning. Fantastic. Verse 34. Who is he who condemns? It's Christ who died and furthermore is also risen, who is even at the right hand of God, who also makes intercession for us. So if no one can be against us and no one can accuse us, who can condemn us? Well, some of you didn't figure that one out. You're going to figure it out. I promise, if I keep asking, you're going to figure it out. At 12:30, somebody's going to say, figure it out, I'm hungry. You're laughing now. But you may not be laughing in an hour. I've already got some of the teams asking, is he serious? I might be. Guys, we should be rejoicing that Jesus loved us enough to come and die on the cross so that we don't have to give up and say, well, it's hopeless. People are against us. I have no hope. But Paul says, hey, listen, church. Listen, Christian. Listen, guys, pay attention. If God's for us, no one can be against us. If God's for us, no one can accuse us. If God's for us, no one can condemn us. All these, when they come and say, well, you've sinned and you've done this, look at the things you've done in your past. Look at the things you said with your friends at school the other day. Look at the things. You can say, wait a minute. Jesus forgave me, and those things are in my past. I don't have to keep going to jail every week for this same thing. That has been paid. That price has been paid for me. I don't have to keep going to court again and again and again. Jesus paid that price. You can't condemn me daily for those things that I've been forgiven for. See, the problem is we live so beat down, and we have tried to measure up to this legalistic society that's been created in the church, and we can't measure up. We can't dress good enough. We can't put enough money in the offering plate. We can't go to church enough. We can't do all these things enough to achieve this lofty goal that's been set before us in most churches. Jesus just said, hey, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. I'll love you. I'll show you what it's like for someone to care about you. Stop trying to win my love. Stop trying to win my affection. Stop trying to win my forgiveness. You can't. Because I love you that much. No one can condemn us because Jesus has forgiven us. That was the thing that I struggled with the most, and I always go back to Romans chapter 8. I have to be reminded, church, time and time and time and time again. I've stood on a platform similar to this for 13, 14 years now. And still have to be reminded, Scott, I forgave you. I've done this for you. Because that past is still there. I could sit down and laugh about it a lot now because, man, it's just a relief to know that it's in my past. And I tell you guys, a lot of you guys, stories about things in my past, just so you know, not to glorify what was in my past, but to let you know there's some things in my past that I'm thankful that I'm forgiven from and removed from. But at the same time, I don't stand up here looking down at you going, well, you need to, because I know what I've been forgiven of. And I know what you can be forgiven of. That someone can stand in front of you and accuse you and condemn you and tell you all, and you can say, oh, no. And see, it's this guy, Paul, that's writing this book right here, this letter to the church in Rome, that's saying, guys, listen, I'm Paul, and I've done things, I've killed Christians, I've stood in witness of Christians being killed, I've done all of these things, so I want you to know that you can be forgiven of these things. And I want you to know that these things can be in your past. And I don't care who comes against you, Jesus Christ is still greater. And His forgiveness is still greater. And so whatever the message on the street is, it still pales in comparison to what Jesus Christ has done for us.